All right, everybody, what is going on? Good late afternoon, or for some of you, early evening. Hope you guys are doing well as we continue on through Victory Monday. Still technically Victory Monday. I know that we're probably kind of starting to move past it a little bit, starting to think about the next game a little bit because obviously so much is going to be on the line next week, but still Victory Monday, still feeling good. And Mike McDonald had his Monday press conference not too long ago. So let's take a look at some of the things he has for us. Let's take a look at some of these updates. So got a handful of tweets to take a look at, and he provides a pretty decent picture of where the Seahawks sit right now. Obviously not perfect, and obviously not super detailed because that's just not the way he rolls. But let's see what we can learn here. We'll start with kind of the thing that we already knew. McDonald did confirm it is probably an ACL for Zach Charbonnet. All right, everybody, before we go any further into the video, I want to take a minute to tell you guys about a wonderful app called Sleeper, a one-stop shop for all your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat about sports in real time with other users. You can get all kinds of scores, sports news, and sports alerts with blazing fast speed. And of course, you can play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports with other people in a community. Download the Sleeper app today and remember to use the promo code SBN, that is SBN, for up to a $100 match on your first deposit. And they also have a free $20 entry right now, no deposit required. So pair those two up. Terms and conditions do apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states and growing. Check out the Sleeper app and have fun with sports this year. He did say that he was pretty sure it was an ACL, so I guess there's some possibility that it's not. But I certainly wouldn't expect that even if it's not an ACL, that would suddenly mean, oh, he can actually play. So maybe it's some other ligament, maybe it's some other tendon, but obviously, whatever it is, it's not good. Now, obviously, when it comes to Charbonnet, I think we're more thinking about the long term than the short term. Will he be available for next season? When will he be available next season? I think we've all kind of accepted that he's not going to play again this year. There's only 1 or 2 games left, depending on what happens. The Super Bowl's in 3 weeks. Like that's not really something that we can be thinking about. But yeah, so Charbonnet confirmed to be likely an ACL, and I don't know how big a difference it would make for us, even if it's not. But one angle here is to consider what do the Seahawks do now that Charbonnet's going to be out. Brady Henderson has this tweet here listing out some of the options. Velez Jones Jr., who did play a little bit yesterday. Cam Akers on the practice squad, former Ram. He's played in the NFL before. He's had good years in the NFL before. George Holani, however, I think is the most interesting one. He hurt his hamstring back in week 12, and we haven't really heard too much about him since. I think a couple weeks ago, McDonald said that he was making progress, but to my knowledge, he has not practiced yet. He hasn't been activated yet. And the if he hasn't been able to practice yet, you wouldn't think that he'd be able to play on Sunday. One thing though, I think it's Hawk Blogger that has suggested this, and Nemhauser, it's possible that he is ready to play and they're just not activating him because they have no room for him, and now that they need him, they can activate him and he'll be ready to go. If that is true, then maybe we'll find out about that on Wednesday. McDonald did mention Holani as an option and said we'll see how it goes this week. So again, keeping things vague, and he also probably doesn't fully know, right? How can you know if a guy's ready to play or not until they actually get out there? But Holani, I think, is the name to look out for right now. I know some Seahawks fans have been saying we should sign this guy, we should sign that guy. To me, the only guy that you could go get at running back to sign basically off of free agency would be Jamal Williams because he has some familiarity with Kubiak. He played under Kubiak before in, I want to say, New Orleans. So that's the only play to make there. Everybody else, I don't think they could learn the offense fast enough to be effective. Alani has at least been here all year and he knows the offense. So if it's not Jamal Williams, I'm hoping that it's Helani because I like Helani. I think he can provide some pretty good stuff. I think that he could be better than Akers or Jones. And I think that we could get through these next couple of games with Helani as a backup running back in place of Charbonnet. Obviously, it's not ideal. The ideal would have been somebody like a Damian Martinez, but I don't think he's available. I'm pretty sure he's on like I want to say the Packers practice squad. I'm not 100% sure though. And it may end up having to be Akers, which comes with its own fun side story because he is a former Ram, but I'm hoping it's Helani at this point because that would be really nice to get him back now that we need him. All right, so that's most of the Charbonnet stuff. We also got an update from McDonald on Charles Cross. He is day to day with the foot injury. And obviously, that's a lot better news than what we got about Charbonnet. It's not ideal news, but at the same time, what else can they really say, right? It's Monday, 2 days after a game. They're not going to practice today. They're not practicing tomorrow. So they don't know. So it's not like they can really say too much more than just he's day to day. And hopefully they get in there on Wednesday and he's totally fine and can go and we're all good. He also mentioned Josh Jones as a candidate to return this week. They just need to see how he feels on Wednesday. That would be great to get Josh Jones back. That would be a tremendous relief if we could at least have a capable backup behind Charles Cross if Cross is less than 100% or God forbid can't play on Sunday. Um, McDonald said that Charles doesn't necessarily need to practice to be able to play Sunday, which some people thought sounded a little ominous. But I don't necessarily think it's ominous. I think it's just indicative of the fact that as a left tackle, your job is relatively straightforward and you don't necessarily need to get all your practice reps to get in there. So just even if Cross misses some practice this week, he can still be a starter for us and still play effectively and still play well. So yeah. McDonald was also pleased with how Amari Kite played Saturday, which a lot of us were. I thought he played perfectly fine out there. Still definitely don't want him out there for the NFC title game against Jared Verse and Byron Young, so definitely looking to avoid that. And that was most of the injury stuff. Again, not a lot of detail because the Seahawks probably don't know more than they did after Saturday night. Because how could they? Charbonnet, the injury was so big and obvious that they were able to fill in a little bit more of the blank, but on somebody like Cross, on somebody like Jones, there's no way for them to really know yet. We also got some comments about Sam Darnold still working with the oblique injury. McDonald said he was a little nervous when Sam was sacked early, but when he bounced back and ripped the ball out to Cooper Kupp on the next play, he was able to relax a little bit. And I do think that is an important observation here. You look at some of the throws that Darnold made in that game. I know he didn't have to make that many, but 2nd and 20 to Cooper Kupp, the touchdown to JSN. He had another completion to Cooper Kupp that was in a very tight window. You look at those throws, and it reminds you that even though he might be hurt and even though he might be in pain or would be in pain if it wasn't for the Toradol shot, he can do all the things that he needs to do as a quarterback right now. So, according to him, the plan with Darnold this week will be day to day to see how he's doing, balancing, making sure we get enough reps at the proper tempo with the proper looks, and getting Sam the reps that he needs. So, they're not saying the injury's just gone and we don't have to think about it anymore. They're not saying that, oh, he's completely 100% fine and it's all over. But again, I think if you look at that game on Saturday night, you come away pretty clearly with the idea that he can make all the throws and do all the things that he typically does. There just might be some discomfort involved. All right, so that'll do it for this update. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Probably last video of the day. Might see you guys on Twitch later. Everybody have a good rest of your day.